hands that cultivate it. We believe in building and trading, driving Zambia's economy, in the wealth beneath our feet and the riches that it brings. We believe in our youth, our future leaders, and in the strength of our women, pillars of our society. In honoring our roots and our traditions, we believe in the power of sports to unite us, and we believe in the rhythm of Zambia. At Stanbic, we are here to support your dreams and ambitions, and we have been a partner for over 60 years on Zambia's journey. We believe in Zambia.
It's 10 minutes past 7, and in case you just joined us, good morning to you. Welcome to the Phoenix Breakfast with Stanbic, and it's Breakfast with Stanbic till 8 in the morning. Now, we have been against gender-based violence generally. And this started on the 25th of last month, the 25th of November, which has been part of the 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence. They should be day 12, if I'm not mistaken, of the 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence. And it runs all the way until the 10th of December. And it's very important that we all play a role as a society in ending violence against women, especially, who have been recognized as the major victims when we talk about gender-based violence. And we'll be talking more about this, also understanding how Stanbic Bank is playing their role in making sure we have a more moral society, a more just society. And joining us in studio today, we do have the head of brand marketing and PR, Eric Ngondo. Good morning.
Good morning, Chimweka, and good morning to the Duchess. She's really looking like a Duchess this morning. It looks amazing.
Thank you, Eric.
Great to have you.
Of course, a great good morning to all the listeners out there across the country. So glad to be with you this morning.
Great to have you in studio today. And because we are getting into a very, very important conversation, especially around the activism against gender-based violence, the studio, we do have GBV prevention specialist at the Zambia Center for Communication Program, ZCCP. We have Ms. Chambo Likando. Good morning.
Good morning, Chimweka, and good morning to the Duchess, and good morning to the listeners out there.
Great to have you as well in studio. I'll start with you, Eric. I mean, we haven't had a chat with you, I think, since the music festival. It's been quite a while. How's Stanbic doing?
No, yes, it's been a little while. I've missed you too. Unfortunately, I'll start on a bit of a sad note today. It's with immense sadness that we share the news of Lina Habarane's passing. Lina was our former chief executive for Stanbic Bank Zambia, immediate former, and prior to that he was chief executive for Stanbic Bank Botswana, respectively. And most recently, he's been our regional head of business and commercial banking, South, Central, and Standard Bank for the Standard Bank Group. He unfortunately passed away yesterday on the 5th, and we all mourn this tragic and untimely loss of such an incredible friend, colleague, and leader. He will agree that he will be remembered as a larger-than-life personality. He always brought his unique leadership style and kind heart to everything that he did. So we just say, may his soul of our dear friend and colleague rest in peace.
May his soul rest in peace, indeed. And I mean, even when we talk on a very sad and unfortunate note, we've also seen lives that have also been lost, especially through gender-based violence. People have been victims of gender-based violence. There's been injuries, deaths, unfortunately, as well. And let's get to that, the 16 Days of Activism against gender-based violence. How is Stanbic Bank playing its role in commemorating these couple of days?
Thanks once again for that question. As you know, the theme for this year's 16 Days of Gender-Based Activism is towards Beijing plus 30, unite to end violence against women, girls, and boys. This theme is particularly broader because, you know, in the past, when we think of GBV, we'll think about just women, but there's actually girls and boys who have been included. So I think this broader context is really, really timely and important, looking at the times we're living in. So basically, as Stanbic Bank, we do commemorate this day and take this day very, very seriously. We've been running a number of activities. Today we have our partner here from ZCCP, who are the subject matter experts and who have been partnering with us. We'll be running a webinar on gender-based violence for all our staff. As you know, we have to keep this awareness going because, some people suffer in silence. So we're touching every member of staff to ensure that they get this message. We're also running a social media campaign on our handles to, again, raise awareness around this vice. This is now for our customers and the general public out there. And, of course, there's a school outreach and education program as well. Where we're visiting local schools to hold workshops and do a few presentations for students about healthy relationships, consent, and preventing violence in conjunction with the gender division. The division is targeting 4 compounds in Osaka with the highest number of cases, which are Matendere, Chawama, Kanyama. We're trying to get out there and really spread the word. I mean, it impacts all of us. I mean, fortunately, I grew up, I never saw violence in our house between my father and my mother. So for me, it's alien. But you can imagine young kids who grow up seeing that.
Exactly.
They think it's normal. And then, unfortunately, they start practicing that. And sadly, that's what leads to this GBV crisis we're facing.
And great that we also have an expert when we talk about this subject matter from the Zambia Center for Communication Program, ZCCP, with Ms. Likando in studio. So for those who could be coming across ZCCP for the first time, just tell us more about the organization and the work that you do.
Thank you so much, Shimweka. So, Zambia Center for Communication Programs, popularly known as Kwatu, I think it's a brand that has been out there for a very long time, mostly associated with SOCT, the Kwatu magazines that I think were there sometime in 2000. So basically we're a non-profit organization that was established in 2002. We've collaborated on a number of programs, of course, focusing on education in terms of health education, but also focusing on how we can promote social behavior change. So currently, as ZCCP Kwatu, we are leading the USAID Stop GBV Now project. So this is a project that we are currently implementing in 42 districts, and we have just recently expanded to Northwestern province. So the goal of this project is to strengthen efforts to reach and sustain HIV epidemic control, but also to be able to prevent and respond to gender-based violence. So I think this is a timely engagement, especially the collaboration that we're having with Stanbic Bank, just to have private sector come in and also play an active role in responding and also preventing gender-based violence, which is something that is really needed, I think, from all the private sector that we have.
Okay. Now, I know you've briefly touched on this, but maybe we can get more details on what programs you are implementing.
Yeah. So ZCCP Kwatu on the USAID Stop GBV Now project has a number of programs that we're implementing and a number of interventions. I'm glad that when Mr. Ngondo was speaking, he spoke about the theme and talked about how we are now engaging boys. And for a long time, the focus has been on the women and girls. And the reason is very simple. GBV has a female face. Yes. Because when we look at how much, in terms of the prevalence of GBV among females, among women, it's higher. But with our interventions, we're not leaving the boys behind. So we have specific interventions that are targeting boys as well, but also targeting men, which we're calling the Coaching Boys into Men. That is targeting boys, using sport to target boys, but we also have interventions that are targeting men as well, so that we have men that are coming on board and beginning to understand that we can be equal partners in preventing and responding to gender-based violence. So just to mention that we are conducting various interventions like I've mentioned, most of them community awareness and education programs that are focusing on changing behaviors, but also strengthening. We're also working with institutions. He's spoken about the gender division. So we are also working with different institutions. The gender division are key to us. We have trained the gender division. We also want to see how they can come on board and just begin to advocate for some policy changes that actually promote gender equality. We are also into service provision. So as a project, we are supporting the Ministry of Health through the established one-stop centers. So Chimweka, you may ask yourself, what is a one-stop center? So a one-stop center is a place where a GBV survivor can go to access services in one space. So there at the one-stop center, you have the medical services that will be provided. You have a paralegal officer that will be able to provide legal support. So we are actually in those spaces.
All right. Now, what would you say is the impact of gender-based violence on an individual and the community?
Yeah. So I think it's quite clear, and as Eric did mention, that some are privileged to not have experienced GBV, but for those that have experienced GBV, we can actually say the impact is grave on an individual, but also on the community as a whole. So GBV can impact an individual mentally. It can have an impact on their mental state. And we have a lot of survivors. So I heard Chimoka talk about victims. So for us, we don't refer to we refer to our GBV as survivors.
Yes.
Because they're out there, they have survived that ordeal, and they're able to tell a story. So a victim is the one that has succumbed to that violence and has ended up dying. But for us, we refer to ours as heroes because they're out there and they've survived and they're able to tell a story.
So just on that, so
Yeah.
what do you call those who are still being subjected to it but have not, say, reported? Do you still call them survivors?
So as long as they've not reported, then they're not survivors. But once they come out and they report, and if they're still in that situation, they are still, for us, we say they have not yet known. They are still in what we call the pre-contemplation stage. They have not realized that what they're going through is actually violence. So such people need support from different actors. It could be from community members, friends, families. They need to come on board and be able to provide the support.
So they're also not called victims?
They're not called victims because a victim is one that has succumbed
Come to it. Okay.
and they're not there to tell a story.
Nice. We learn something new every day.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So we have the mental effect, of course, on an individual, but also we know that there are physical effects of a GBV survivor. This is someone who has been beaten, and of course they may experience, we've seen very horrific pictures or images of injuries that have been caused through gender-based violence, and these can be long-term, and some have and be able to earn some money. Therefore, it also has economic consequences, because here's a survivor who may face a loss of a job due to the violence or reduced productivity, because now and then they'll need to request for days off, they need to go to the hospital. So it has quite a grave effect on the individual as well.
Okay, all right. I know there's a lot we can talk about regarding this subject. It's a very important subject. But just as we are winding up with our discussion this morning, anything else you'd love to add, Eric?
Yes, thank you so much, and I'm so grateful to be partnering with ZCCP. They've been an amazing partner, so hands-on. Today's the 6th of November. 16 days is almost over. It started on the 25th. It's going to end on the 10th of December. But it shouldn't have to be in this period. I mean, we can still fight GBV throughout the year. Let's not relax, so to say. 10th December will also be Human Rights Day. That's the day it ends, so we'll be commemorating that as well. So we're basically calling on all men to be champions and allies to end violence in every place. I think as men we have that responsibility. We have the power physically to end violence. And also just let's report this GBV. Let's not sweep it under the rug. I think it's important to report it so that it comes to an end. And it's about being hands-on as well. So we would like to ask the public out there to get involved in the community outreach programs in Mutendere, Chawama, and Kanyama. We shall be inviting Radio Phoenix, of course, and we hope to see you there as well to raise more awareness.
Definitely.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely an amazing cause, and great that Stanbic is supporting this and playing a role in making sure awareness does go out there. So thank you to Stanbic. Eric, thank you so much for joining us this morning as well.
Thank you, and thank you to all the listeners out there.
We're joined by the head of brand marketing and PR at Stanbic Bank, Mr. Eric Ngondo. We've also been joined by the GBV prevention specialist at the Zambia Center for Communication Programs, ZCCP, also known as Kwatu. We've been joined by Ms. Chambo, Likando. Thank you as well for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much, Shimweka, and thank you to the Duchess.
Thank you for coming through.
Us.
Let's continue spreading the word and play our role in ending violence, gender-based violence, both against women, but also for the men and the boys as well.
Number one spot is where we rank.
Here we go.
It's the Phoenix Breakfast with Mwega, the Duchess, and Stanbic Bank.
Ripped off in an unfair trade deal? The Competition and Consumer Protection Commission, CCPC, is here to protect your rights. Whether it's misleading deals, unfair contract terms, or defective products, we're here to make sure justice is served. CCPC, empowering consumers, promoting fair trade. Simply call our toll-free line 5678, WhatsApp 0975 873988, or email complaints@ccpc.org.zm to lodge a complaint.
Introducing ChitChat, the first app that lets you chat to your contacts and send money around the world. International transfers on ChitChat are faster and 90% cheaper than sending through anyone else. If you're sending money to Zambia, South Africa, Ghana, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, India, Japan, USA, Canada, Malaysia, or the UK this December, then use ChitChat and stand a chance to win $500 every day. And on Christmas Eve, one lucky sender will win $1,000. Search for ChitChat because money talks on the Play Store or App Store. Terms and conditions apply. Promotion valid from December 2nd to 24th, 2024.